Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Claire and my channel is all about all things planning, goal setting, and a little bit of lifestyle content, kind of throw it in the mix as well. So today I am going through a review of the month of November. So I haven't done one of these before, but this is actually going to be a month in review. So this is going to be looking back at what I planned for November. So I did do a November planner setup. If you're interested, I'll link that up in the cards above. So I wanted to go through and actually look at what did I have planned and what did I accomplish. This is something that I generally do when I'm setting up the next month. But as I'm setting up the next month and looking forward, I'm often doing that like when there's still a week or so left in the month that I'm currently in. Just because I don't want to wait until I'm in December to plan December. So I'm not always taking that step back at the end of the month and saying, okay, these are all of the things I plan to do, and this is what I've actually accomplished. So I did kind of shift a couple things at the end of October in terms of I'm currently working towards my Bachelor of Commerce degree. And I've talked about it a decent amount, but essentially when I first started the semester, so I have a full course load, 5 courses, but I was also doing my project management professional certification. And then I'm also navigating a lot of things in my personal life in terms of changes and figuring out some legalities and just kind of figuring out where am I going in life, what are my priorities. So in addition to that, I also had a ton of family stuff like through the summer and especially through September, which is when my semester started. So my semester started like right after Labor Day, but we had family visiting from England, and then we had a family reunion and all incredible things, but it just meant that I didn't start my semester off as quickly as I wanted to. And then because I was also kind of navigating all of these other things, kind of by October, I had done a couple chapters or modules across all of my courses, but the way that my brain works, and this is something that I'm learning and something that I'm figuring out, like navigating and working to my own personal strengths is, often we think, okay, if I do, 5 things or 10 things and I do them all really slowly, small actions, we'll make progress on everything. And I'm finding how my mind works is if I have 5 courses, I'm better off doing them back to back. So I'm better off doing 3 weeks on this course and then finishing it, and then 3 weeks on the next course. And that's probably how I should have broken my semester up. But because I had all 5 courses plus my certification, when I had time to do school, I'm not just like sitting down and doing it. I'm trying to figure out which course should I be working on? What do I feel like doing? Should I be breaking my day into, 4 courses or 2 blocks and doing multiple courses a day? And then I was overthinking everything, and then I just wouldn't do anything because I didn't know where to start. So to remove that block for myself, I've started doing them back to back. So in November, I finished my first course, so I started it at the end of October. So actually mid-October, I decided, okay, I'm doing my PMP first. It's a certification. It will really help me with my career. It's quite a big certification. Some people take months to do it, and I decided to do it in like under 2 weeks. So I did that. Got that checked off. I passed, got my certification, was able to add that to my LinkedIn. And then I decided that in November I was going to do 2 courses and then challenge 2 courses. The 2 challenge courses, I still have to do work. One of them was a challenge exam. I had to read the whole textbook for accounting, and then the other one was a portfolio, so I had to do a big report with research and everything. So still quite intensive. So in November so far, I've done 3 of the courses. So I did 1 full course and then challenged the other 2. And then my goal was to do a 4th, and I just found by the end of the month, my brain wasn't up to doing the 4th course, unfortunately. So giving myself the grace and kind of allowing that to be shifted into December. So with that being said, what I have written as my goals is not really what I accomplished, but I got a ton done. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some still shots of my calendar, and you'll see there's stuff added, there's stuff scratched out, there's stuff moved. It's a functional planner. It's not super beautiful. But I'll just kind of walk through my goals and how I did. So hopefully that intro made a little bit of sense and will make what we're about to go into make more sense to you. So I'm going to be looking down at my calendar. So if you see me looking down, that's just because I'm reading. So essentially I decided that I was going to do my economics course first, and I had the deadline for my economics course was to do the exam on the 8th. So that was the second Friday of the month. And so I did that. I did all of my course content. I did the full economics course, a university level course, in 10 days, including the final. So pretty proud of myself for that. Really happy I got that done, that I got it checked off. My marks are still coming in, so we're now in December and I still don't have all of my marks for that course. However, I've got about 80% of my coursework marked. Currently sitting at a high A, so I'm just waiting for my last assignment to be marked and then my final exam results to come in. But I'm happy that even at the speed I did it, I was still able to maintain the quality that I'm really wanting to maintain in terms of my GPA. So then following that, I gave myself 7 days to do my management accounting challenge course, which involved doing a final exam, and it's the same final exam that these students who are taking the course do. However, all I get is like the general course outline that's on the website, like when you register. So I had to read essentially the whole textbook just to make sure that my working knowledge of doing accounting in management roles covered all of the kind of technical components that this course covered. So I read the whole textbook. That exam was originally scheduled for the 15th, but my sister actually came out for a visit on the 14th and stayed until the morning of the 17th. So I didn't do my exam on that Friday as I planned. I actually pushed it back to the Tuesday following. And also coming out of that economics course, I find that anytime I finish a course, I do need some time for my brain to function to the point where it's going to take in another course load full of information. So I had a few days where, you know, they were very light in terms of what I was able to handle capacity-wise for retaining knowledge and being able to sit down and study. So I really started reading the textbook probably more like the Wednesday, Thursday. And then the bulk of the textbook, being honest, was read between Sunday and Monday. I read 10 of the 14 chapters. And then my final exam was on a Tuesday the 19th. So felt pretty good in terms of the questions that they had, in terms of the knowledge that I had in the exam, but I'm still waiting for my results to come in terms of if I pass at the score they need for the course to be challenged. And then following that, so the next assignment I had was actually due on the Thursday, and that was a hard deadline, so the only way I could extend that is if I paid for an extension, and I really didn't want to pay for another 12 weeks and then potentially have it lag out to further into that due date. So I really pushed myself, and that portfolio I originally gave myself 6 days to do, so from the Saturday prior to being due on a Thursday. With the exam being pushed back, it meant that I had Wednesday, and then it was due at the end of the Thursday. So I did manage to complete it. I did all of the research, got it submitted, compiled, and documented all of my evidence. And I got that in on time, so really excited about that. Again, that is a longer process for them to review. So essentially I send it in, they review it, they give me feedback, which I haven't received yet, and then I have a week to apply the feedback, resubmit it, and then it's up to a month to find out if I get the credit for that course. So then what my original plan was to go right out of that and have 11 days to finish the full stat course and take the final, and it was just too much. So after those 3 really intensive courses back to back, I just found that for myself, I needed to give myself that grace. So you'll see down the side, I've got all of the economics checked off. I've got the accounting stuff like highlighted and checked off. I got my portfolio done. But then you'll see the statistics portion. I'm pretty much done assignment one. I only have one question left to do for that. So I could have probably pushed myself to do that last question and had that checked off for this month. But we can pretty much call that done. In terms of my business content, I didn't accomplish any of those items. And I think going back through and looking at my goals for myself and for my business and what I'm trying to build, having school be so intensive that I just don't have the capacity to do anything on my business and work towards those goals, is really making me realize that personally I'm going to shift my priority and my focus and my approach going into December. So it's always great to kind of go back and look at how are you balancing your priorities and are you actually doing what you need to do for you. So I'm gonna flip to the next page here, and this is my goals for the month of November. So this is what I wanted to accomplish. So we will start with business. So in terms of business, as I mentioned, I didn't really accomplish anything that I kind of hoped to do for the month of November. And it's honestly a little disappointing for me, like in myself, that I didn't push to do that. So the 2025 planner, the dated version. So this is something that honestly is pretty easy to do. I've started to do it. I've done about 3 months. It's just tedious. So the way that it's done in Canva is I have to like highlight all of the numbers, move them over. I haven't found like an easy way to do that aside from like shift and selecting, a bunch at a time. But it doesn't always work, and it's just a little bit finicky. So that is something that I'm working on, but that could have been like a really easy win for me to get that done if I just had the mental capacity to sit down and do it. So kind of note for myself to listen to myself a little bit more. I did do the 3 YouTube videos a week. So I accomplished that. I feel like there may have been 1 week where I did 2. But overall, I've been hitting like the 3 videos a week, and then in this week that we're currently in that week I've technically got 4, even though one of those days goes into December. And then I'm doing VLOGMAS for December, so I'm gonna have a video pretty much like every day at least leading up to Christmas. So I'm feeling really on track with that one. I'm really proud of myself for how that one's going. The next one here is I wanted to start getting my co-working calls live. So essentially what this would be is it's a free call, and I'm going to share it in my Facebook group. And I'll link that in the description if you're interested in joining. This co-working call would just be a place where at a designated time and day, I'll create like a Google Meet link or a Zoom link, and I'll send that out I'll share it with the group and create an event. And it would essentially be that you can log in at that time, and it would be a silent co-working call. So cameras on ideally, just so you can kind of have that camaraderie and see the other people, but if not, that's totally fine. And it's essentially that you're logging in and you're working, and you're surrounded kind of by other people who are also sitting there and working, and it just helps mentally sometimes like stay on track, especially if your camera's on and you know that people can see you like staying engaged on what you're doing. And the reason I want to make it silent is so that you're not distracted kind of by other people. So there will be like the chat will be live if anybody wants to like IM back and forth, but in terms of like the actual audio component, it would be silent in terms of that. The next item I have here is my business planning bundle, and this is something that's been partially done for a long time. So this is one I really do want to get done, but essentially similar to the other bundles I have on my Etsy, this one would have a card deck, and I'll show you. I'll just grab a few from this one, but basically my card decks are like these mini little card decks, so quite small. And then each one has 5 categories, and then they have little prompts or affirmations or things like that. So that is what I've done. And so for the business bundle, I have already created the color scheme, the categories. I've got some of the writing on the cards done, so I just need to go through and finish that. And then I've also started to create my journal prompts workbook for that bundle as well. And then beyond that, I really just have kind of like a couple more products that I would need to make for that bundle. but I may also just release those products like as they become available. So get the card deck up on my Etsy shop and on my website, which I'll link in the description as well. Just kind of get things moving for myself and start to build that momentum back up. So I did want to do the business bundle, but again, I just didn't have the capacity. The other thing that I've been really wanting to get back into my routine, and my goal really is this coming week. So with December and starting to focus more on balance between school and my business, that I want to start to get my weekly vlogs back up. And my website, I do have some blogs up on there already, and it's Clarity Planner Company if you're interested. And again, I'll link it in the description, but just kind of blogs on mindset, on goal setting, on planning, and just getting more kind of content created, which also helps to spark like the inspiration in myself as I'm doing that. The next thing I had on here was I really wanted to start to think about my course creation. So I have 2 courses that I really want to create and get launched. One of them is a daily rituals course, and that would kind of coincide with the daily rituals bundle that I have that has like a planner, one of those decks of cards, journal prompts, a guided visualization, and then I've got an Overcome the Overwhelm bundle as well, which is similar. It has the wall planning unit that's in some of my videos. It has the journal prompts workbook, it has the visualization, it has a deck of cards. So similar to the daily rituals one, I want to create a course. I've already created a course and launched that for my Overcome the Overwhelm bundle. And again, I'll link that in the description, but I really want to create the daily rituals course. And I really want to create a course about like free flow journaling. I think it's really powerful. So how do you get started? What do you need? What are the benefits? Kind of like an introductory guide to journaling to make it more approachable for people who might be interested, but a little bit kind of hesitant or scared to dive into it. The last one here I have as contractor services. So this is like for my personal business. I'm like kind of like consulting and freelancing type work. So I'm working on building a website specifically for that. And that would be more leaning into my corporate knowledge and doing either operational work, project management, process mapping, helping with learning and development initiatives, operational excellence initiatives, continuous improvement, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm just building a website for that I can link to my LinkedIn to start to kind of get some traffic on that side of things. So kind of a side business. Moving on to school, so I did get my economics course, my accounting course, and my business course all done. My stat course I have here excluding the exam. I just wanted to do the coursework, but as you know, that got pushed back to December. But pretty good in terms of accomplishing like the equivalent of 3 full university courses in a month. I'm happy with that, even if I kind of fell short of my stretch target. In terms of personal, so I did pretty good on this one, so I'm feeling pretty happy with my progress, although definitely still room for improvement. So I wanted to get back into a routine, so I'm still working on that. So currently I lost my job back in June, so in terms of like my full-time job, I was doing really good at the beginning of like staying in a routine, but as like the mornings are getting darker, it's just being kind of, my mornings are stretching out a little bit more. I'm moving a little bit more slowly, which does happen to me in the winter months, so totally normal. But I do want to get myself like back into a routine where I'm getting up around the same time, and then I'm doing my morning routine similar to like what my video was, where I walk through my morning routine. And then I also have a routine throughout my day, where right now it's just kind of whatever I feel like doing is what I do. But I really want to get back into more of a routine just for like my body and my mind to know what to expect and to be able to build that strength up. Taking time to rest, so that is something that I have been doing. And so I think it's funny how that ties into like this last week of the month. I really haven't been able to be as productive as I originally intended, but it does tie into my goal of giving myself the grace to rest when I need to. So I have a tendency to be like go, go, go from one goal, I accomplish it, and then I don't take the time to like actually celebrate what I've done. I just say, okay, what's next? Because I have so many things I'm wanting to accomplish. So having that here is like taking time to rest and actually my body telling me that I needed to do that. It's just interesting how it kind of ties into what I already did really know. Playing an instrument in practice, so I want to start to pull up my instruments more. This is one that I kind of put here knowing I may not do it because I'm struggling to pull them out and get through like that relearning and not being good at it and having to build up to being comfortable. So that's something that I'm going to continue to put on my radar month after month, in terms of just allowing myself to have hobbies that maybe I haven't gotten to the level that I would be happy being at. And it's not second nature. It's like you're having to actively work to be able to do it. But I do really want to do that more. I did pull up my clarinet once, but I don't think that really constitutes as checking that off, although I might do that just to reward myself for actually pulling it out, but we'll see. Work-life balance. So again, with taking time to rest, kind of getting myself on the brink of burnout after those 3 weeks and having to take this time to rest and recuperate, focus on what actually inspires me. That is something that I have found that I was led to do and guided to do through like listening to myself. And then the to be determined section, this is just things that I wanted to figure out because I had a lot of like question marks in terms of moving forward on some items. So course load for January. So I did this month, I figured out which courses I'm doing for January. I've decided 3 physical and then 2 that I can do the portfolio for to challenge. I may have 1 that comes from this current semester. If I don't finish my finance course, that may be added to next semester, in which case I would have 4 physical and 2 portfolios. And then that would mean that this semester I did 2 physical, 1 challenge exam, 1 portfolio, and my PMP. So I think it's kind of a similar workload. In terms of my divorce hearing, so this was something that I had a hearing scheduled for Spokane in December, and I reached out to the court to see if there's a way that we can just sign the paperwork and I can send that to them for them to deal with. And so they have sent that to me. I filled it in, I've sent it back, so I've done kind of all that I can do, and then I'll follow up in a week or so if I haven't heard back from them on that being approved. So I did as much as I could possibly do. Now we're just kind of send it back and wait and see. Student loan for January. So this month I also applied for my student loan. So just with not working, and I think I talked about this in another video, but my job, although I was there for 12 years, because I had just relocated back to Canada, and I was a US employee, I hadn't had enough hours back in Canada to qualify for EI. By the time I was laid off, I was about 3 months short. So unfortunately, I'm not getting EI or anything at this time. So essentially the student loan is allowing me to pay for my courses because obviously it's a lot of money to have to kind of come up with. So just to have my tuition fees covered and then be able to continue to work towards this goal of accomplishing my degree while I'm not working and kind of in between these chapters of my life of everything kind of closing and going away and figuring out what am I opening myself up to and what am I pursuing. So I have that approved and it's just pending the confirmation of my enrollment, which I am enrolled, so that's all good. The other thing I wanted to do was look into what I needed for my MBA application and that process. So my plan after I'm done my bachelor's is to pursue my MBA, and there's about 4 additional courses that if I do them on top of what I need to actually get my diploma, that would mean that I basically get to skip the first year of the 2-year MBA program and move straight into the second and final year. So I just emailed them a couple questions that I had, and they've come back to me. So I'm still looking into that, but I did do the component that I really wanted to do for myself. And then the last thing here is that I'm researching moving. So something I was considering was moving overseas. And so what I was doing was just looking at visas, looking at what is the process, looking at if I were to bring my dogs, are there any breed restrictions? So that may be something that I'm faced with because both of my dogs are like mixed breed dogs, and they both clearly have some sort of potential like bully breed or staffy or some breeds that are banned in some countries. So I've just been looking into that, and essentially what I'm doing is just getting an idea of what would it involve, and is that something that I even want to deal with, or do I just decide to stay here and really focus on building my foundation here. So with the moving, so the place I'm looking at is Australia. That would be the only place that I've thought about moving, and I almost moved to back in 2012. So it's the only place that I've wanted to live that I haven't actually moved to. So I've lived in Scotland, Ireland, England. I've moved to the east coast of the US. I've lived in the west coast of the US. And then Australia is really that only like last what if. But looking at it, it's quite expensive and it's quite pricey, but it's also that there's a cutoff. So once you're 44, you're no longer qualified for a visa. And I'm at like 6 or 7 years away from that, and their process can take 2 or 3 years to do. So how I'm kind of feeling is like, if it is something I'm wanting to do, it's something I probably need to start doing now and looking at now, and potentially by the time the process is done, it could be 2 or 3 years down the road. Or do I just say, okay, you know, at this point, maybe that's not something I want to pursue in my life, and kind of close that door and allow myself to just have peace with that, but knowing that I've looked at the full process and made like an educated decision, so that no matter which route I go, I'm feeling happy with myself. So that was the last thing in terms of my month. So looking at this, there's a few things that I'm going to be rolling over to December. So all of the business items here, I am going to roll over. Those are all really important to me. So you'll see in my December planner, I do have some of those already in terms of the 3 YouTube videos, but I have a lot of extra, like, you know, my creating a digitized planner, something I would like to do, getting my business goals for 2025. There's a couple items that I did roll over, but now that November's done, I'm going to roll over a couple more to that side. In terms of personal, I did really good. I'm just going to roll over the instruments and continuing to be mindful of my balance between my work life, my school, and my business goals, and all of that type of stuff. And then obviously my STAT course is rolling over, so that's totally fine. I'm at peace with that. And so overall, I think I did really good. Like I've said before, I always do stretch goals, so I'll always plan to do as much as I possibly think could potentially be possible in some version of my reality. Because if I have, you know, probably what do I have here, like 15, 20 goals, and I hit half of them, at least I'm doing 10. Whereas if I only had 10 goals, I probably wouldn't hit all 10. So I'm still accomplishing more going through like this stretch goals and stretch targets method. But yeah, feeling really good and feeling really at peace, knowing that I'm going into December with this vision to shift more of my time onto my business and seeing where I fell short and where I have gaps in what I wanted to do for myself, and actually what I need to do for kind of school and qualifications and that, and deciding to make that decision and really making that decision to honor myself and my personal goals going into the end of the year. So thank you so much for watching. If you are still here and enjoyed this video, I would love it if you could give it a like. If you're not already subscribed, if you could consider hitting that subscribe button. I am posting, as I mentioned, every day for VLOGMAS through December. So if you hit that notification bell, it will let you know every day when I upload my new video. And I really hope you have a beautiful week and a beautiful day ahead. And if you are putting together your kind of monthly planning, or you need any help with planning at all, definitely feel free to leave me a message in the comments. I'm happy to help. Have a beautiful day.